This was announced by Myanmar's governing party, the National League for Democracy. And this comes after days of escalating tensions between the civilian government and the military that stirred fears of a coup in the aftermath of an election that the army says was fraudulent. Stay tuned here on One News for the latest on this story. The country's vaccination program is set to kick off by mid-February. This after the WHO-led COVAX facility officially informed the Philippine government that it will deliver some 5.6 million doses of Pfizer and Astrazeneca shots this month. COVAX Facility's Managing Director, Aurelia Nguyen, said the Philippines will receive a total of 117,000 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines as part of the first quarter supply commitment. That's on top of the 5.5 to 9 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, also to be given through the COVAX facility. In an interview with Radyo 5, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles confirmed that the vaccine supplies expected this February will initially serve priority individuals in the capital region.
Uunahin natin ang mga health and medical frontliners po ng NCR.
Opo.
So ito po yung unahin natin. Kung may maiwan pa ay pupunta naman po tayo sa Calabarzon para naman po sa mga medical and health frontliners ng Calabarzon. Then sa mga kung ano yung naiiwan, then bababa na po tayo sa ibang regions like CAR, Region 3, Central Visayas, Davao, and then so on and so forth.
Meanwhile, a health expert assures the public that all COVID-19 vaccines in development are generally safe. Dr. Marion Kwek from the Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Diseases said these shots are safe to use, even on people with certain medical conditions.
It's important to emphasize yung current preparations po natin ng mga bakuna. All of these, kahit iba-iba sila, they are generally what we call non-live vaccines, and they are generally safe, even for those with other medical problems.
The Asian Development Bank is providing $25 million, or roughly 1.2 billion pesos, to help the government purchase vaccines this year. In a statement, the ADB said this fund will come from their $125 million project called Health System Enhancement to address and limit COVID-19. This fund will allow the government to pay vaccine manufacturers in advance to secure the delivery of vaccines. The newly allocated funding will follow vaccine access and eligibility requirements under ADB's Asia-Pacific Vaccine Access Facility, or APVAX, which was launched last December. Pork prices have started decreasing in wet markets based on the Agriculture Department's inspection this morning. To give us updates, we have Shaila Francisco reporting live from Quezon City. Shaila, good morning. What do you have for us?
Charles, pork prices in some markets in Quezon City have already gone down by 20 to 30 pesos compared to last week's prices, but they are expecting prices to decrease further with the entry of more supply coming from both the provinces and abroad. In Commonwealth Market, meat dealers note that instead of sourcing supply from other traders, they are now directly coordinating with hog raisers in Mindanao, particularly in Cagayan de Oro and Davao. This allowed them to cut retail prices for both Kasim and Liempo. Prices of Kasim is now at 320 to 330 pesos from 350, while Liempo here can now be bought at 350 pesos per kilo from the previous 380 pesos. The Agriculture Department is now linking up more dealers and retailers to hog raisers from Visayas and Mindanao. But if prices still remain high, they are considering shouldering and subsidizing logistic costs from hogs coming from Visayas and Mindanao. Meanwhile, the Philippine Tariff Commission is set to hold a public hearing on Thursday on DA's proposal to lower tariff in both rice and meat imports for a whole year. Under the proposal, the DA recommends to lower tariff for pork by 25% in the first 6 months. For rice, the proposal is to cut tariff by 5 to 15%. Some sectors are already against this move, saying this could be detrimental to farmers. But the DA says this will ensure food security and lower prices. Charles, the agency hoped that with their interventions, they will be able to lower pork prices to 270 to 300 per kilo within the month. Charles?
Thank you, Shaila Francisco, reporting live from the Commonwealth Market. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. To arrest the spread of COVID-19, pharmaceutical firms from around the world formulated their own vaccines. But are all COVID-19 vaccines made the same way? And how will these differences affect the body? The details from Bloomberg Quick Take.
We know a lot about the mRNA technology where they just take that little snippet of the instructions, the recipe for how to produce the spike protein. Your body reads that, makes the spike protein. The Johnson & Johnson is a virus vector, so they take an adenovirus from a chimpanzee and they modify it a little bit so that when it comes into your body, you again can produce some of those spike proteins and your antibodies respond to that. So it's all about mounting this response to the specifically the spike protein. So we really need that antibody response here. And then Novavax is totally different. So it's a coronavirus protein plus soap bark tree plus moth cells in order to produce, it's very interesting, in order to produce the spike protein that then your body again responds to. So the technologies are a little bit different in essentially how your body receives or makes, or both, the spike protein. And then, of course, all of that spike protein is there for the number one reason, which is to get your body to mount an antibody response.
When we think about vaccines that have been in use for years, do the vaccines from Johnson & Johnson and Novavax, do they more closely represent or more similar to vaccines that have been used for years versus the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, which we know until now have never been used in humans before?
So viral vector vaccines like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they have been used before. And actually Johnson & Johnson specifically had an adenovirus vector vaccine produced for the Ebola crisis. So this is not brand spanking new technology the way kind of mRNA in terms of coming to market was. Novavax is definitely different and new. I think one of the things that we can't underestimate here is just what this pandemic is doing for science. I come from the field of HIV. HIV revolutionized the way that we understood the immune system. And I think coronavirus is revolutionizing the way we make vaccines. I think one of the other points about the variants and how quickly things are changing is that we need vaccines that can be a bit more nimble. The mRNA vaccines will probably be the first to be able to kind of pivot and create a vaccine that becomes even more effective and efficacious against mutations and changes, variants here that we're seeing in coronavirus. But it's all to be seen. I mean, this is happening in such real time. It's amazing.
On now to sports news with the PBA, where Terrafirma Dyip governor Bobby Rosales defended the team's decision to trade out all-star guard CJ Perez. This comes amid wild criticism from fans who think the proposed trade is a bad move for the team. Rosales says Terrafirma is looking to regroup after its disappointing 1-10 finish in the recent Philippine Cup. He adds that trading Perez for the number 8 pick in the upcoming rookie draft is a good strategic move for the team, given that they have a couple of, quote, missing pieces. The team governor appeals to fans for their understanding, saying that the decision did not come easy for the team's executives.
Mahirap yung ginawa namin to give up CJ Perez, to give up the best player. And, this is a sacrifice, kahit it's painful to us, that we felt that we could get the missing pieces by, making the sacrifice, no matter how painful it is for us also, knowing that, we've had a good relationship with CJ, but, the good of the team will prevail over everything else.
Perez, who was picked first by Terrafirma in the 2018 rookie draft, says he is now just awaiting his fate. He says trade talks are out of his control, so he would rather focus on preparing for the Gilas Pilipinas team's bid for the third window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers.
Ang iniisip ko lang, whatever happens, happen. Basta kung ano magyari talaga. Ako naman, focus na ako dito, be prepared para maging better player and syempre napapakondisyon.
Perez will be heading to powerhouse San Miguel Beer once the trade is finalized. In a statement to spin.ph, San Miguel coach Leo Austria says the trade is a win-win for both teams. In exchange for Perez, Terrafirma will reportedly receive Jello Alulino, Matt Rosser, and Russell Escoto on top of the Beermen's 8th pick in the upcoming draft. As far as Austria is concerned, the Dyip are not at a disadvantage since they'd be getting an almost complete unit. Meanwhile, PBA Commissioner Willie Marshall says he understands why the fans are having violent reactions about the proposed trade. Still, he says the independent 5-man PBA Trade Committee is already reviewing the proposal.
Walang perfect trade. So, hintayin ko na lang kung anong decision talaga ng trade committee. Nakikita ko naman yung mga sinasabi nila. So, tingnan natin. Independent body yung trade committee. So, may tiwala ako sa kung ano ang gagawin nilang decision.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We're One News.